Welcome into the weekly game preview brought to you by Wise Markets. I'm your host, Mitch Gerber. Coming up on tonight's show, we'll hear from head coach James Franklin as he addresses the local media. We'll go one-on-one with junior safety Keaton Ellis, and we'll remind you about everything you need to know if you are coming to Beaver Stadium for this weekend's matchup. Of course, we'll also preview this matchup between the two programs with the voice of the Nittany Lions, Steve Jones. For now, let's toss it over to head coach James Franklin as he addresses the local media.
Obviously, being able to practice isn't always a final determination. Sometimes it's a game time decision, but we're hopeful to have those guys back.
With Jesse not in action, Zariah seemed to get some opportunities. What did you see from him?
Yeah, he's taking steps. He got a bunch of reps, which is great. We think he's a talented guy. He just got to gain the experience at that position. Obviously, he hasn't played it in high school, so he's gaining experience all the time and gaining confidence. I think he had like 37 reps on Saturday, which is really good. We need to continue some of those young guys, gaining that experience and having some success to build on for the rest of the season and for the future.
James, it seems like Keaton was a little more decisive the last couple of weeks. Is that fair to say? And have you been seeing what you want out of him over the last 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, I think Keaton's been a little bit more decisive. I also think we've gotten more push. I think we're being more physical up front at the tight end position and the offensive line positions. But I think that's a fair assessment of Keaton. We need him to play well on Saturday. That we want to build on it. I think we've made some pretty good steps. I think the other thing we have to do is we got to get some explosive runs. If you really look at our numbers, if we would have a few explosive runs a game, it would change things dramatically. So I think that's the next step for us.
James, what do you think is preventing you from getting those explosive runs, other than the opposing defense, obviously? But are there things that you think you can do better to get that done?
Yeah, I think we got to break more tackles. We got to make people miss, and we got to have enough speed to be able to do it. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Obviously, I think we can be a little bit better on the perimeter and our blocking as well. I think it's all those things. But when we get one-on-one with the safety, we got to be able to make a miss. That's when the big plays happen.
Have you been close? Have you been close on plays that you've seen on?
There's been a few, not as many as I'd like.
Assuming my math's correct, your offense is like 75% passing, 25% on the ground. Are you comfortable with that division, or would you like that to be closer to 50-50?
Yeah, like I have stated in the past, I'm not really concerned about what some people's definition of balance is, which is 50-50. What I want to be able to do is throw it 75% of the time to win it, or be able to run it 75% of the time to win it, depending on what the game needs and what the game calls for. I wouldn't necessarily say we're able to do that right now. I think our strength is throwing the ball, but we got to continue to work on the other aspects so we're able to do what I just explained.
During the game Saturday, Landon Tangwall looked like he was pretty engaged on the sideline with the clipboard. But what is he doing kind of in those moments? And is that a guy that maybe down the stretch here you guys want to try to work in, or where's he at with his development?
Yeah, there's a number of guys like that. Olu is in that conversation. Landon is in that conversation. Effner's in that conversation. They have shown good things in practice. They're locked in and involved. Obviously, with him being still a true freshman, it's a little bit different. But yeah, we'd love to get those guys some experience. We'd like them to use all four of their games that they have available if possible. And continue to create some depth at those positions and also create maybe a little bit more competition.
James, what will it take for one to stick out and take on the big back roles? It doesn't matter if consistency or something else.
I think it's what we just got done talking about. We need a few more big plays. We need some explosive runs where we're breaking some tackles and making people miss. That will impact our overall running statistics and efficiency. And it'll also, I think, give them a lot of confidence.
James, we got Nick Tarburton on the call yesterday. Through 9 games, he's happy to be healthy. He's starting role. I mean, can you talk about the importance of him having this kind of year for you in facing what you have at the defensive front?
Yeah, he's been great. Nick's had a long journey here early on with battle and different things that have popped up kind of throughout his career from a health perspective. He's a mature guy. He's a tough guy. I think you guys know we have that like kind of Keystone Award, which is kind of the guy that's kind of the glue behind the scenes doing his job that maybe doesn't get the fanfare, and he's that guy for us. Does his job. He's physical. He's able to get pressure on the quarterback on Saturday, got a holding call and some other things. So he's very well respected within our program from the coaches and the players.
Keandre hasn't put up a ton of numbers, but I'd say he's had a lot of timely catches, third downs, and things like that. How would you assess how he's done, especially in that maybe third guy role with Jihan?
Yeah, I think that's fair. He's had some timely catches, on drives where maybe we're in a third down situation and he's picked up the crucial third down that's allowed us to go down the field and score a touchdown or whatever it may be. I still think there's a lot of room for improvement with him. He's had some opportunities he's got to take advantage of. But I see him getting better in every way. I know Sean's got a lot of confidence in him as well. I do think when people study us, it's not a one-man show. I feel like they respect those guys on the field. And obviously Parker's shown some flashes. And Keandre is almost there. And we need him. I think he's going to have one of those games at some point where he kind of has his breakout game. And then I think his confidence will skyrocket and go from there.
How important are tackles for loss? Is that one of the things you track? And in a game like this one specifically, where the team likes to run the ball as much, is that an emphasis in the week leading up?
I think it's always an emphasis. I don't know if it's specific this week more than others. I think you obviously always want to get people off schedule, whether that is with sacks or whether that is with tackles for a loss. You want to get people off schedule, and that can put them into more of a predictable situation, which allows you to be more aggressive in your calls to attack whatever situation it may be based on the sticks. So I think it's always important, something that we always try to emphasize as much as we possibly can. But I understand your point. When you're playing a team like Michigan that really wants to establish the run, it's magnified.
Hey, James, from 0 to 100%, where would you say the program is these days as far as where you want to be off the field, facilities, support, things like that? How far do you have to go?
Yeah,
knowing it's a moving target.
Yeah, I don't know if I could put a percentage on it without spending some time kind of thinking about that. But I think you guys have heard me talk for a long time, really since I've arrived here, about alignment and about competing 365 days a year. I think that's critical for us. That has to happen. I know the people in that building are doing it. I know the players are doing it. I know the coaches are doing it. But we have to compete in everything. Obviously, college football. You guys know this as well as I do. It is literally competitive and a fist fight 365 days a year, and that's how you have to approach it.
What at this point? What other things do you think you need to be competitive in those areas?
I'd prefer to talk about Michigan. I don't want to go on a tangent talking about these other things. I'd like to talk about Michigan and the game, and then when appropriate, postseason or whatever it is, we can talk about all those other things. I'd like to talk about Michigan if possible.
How does a mature quarterback, when you're up against a mature quarterback that does a lot of things that maybe aren't on the field evident well, how does that change how you play? With checks and calls and making sure the negatives don't show.
You talking about like with Sean, or are you talking about with like our opponent?
Your opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, either one, honestly.
Yeah, I think obviously having an experienced quarterback is extremely valuable. You think about the organizations in the NFL that have had a franchise quarterback for a long period of time. They've usually had sustained success, right? And I think an experienced quarterback in college, it's the same way. Sean allows us to do some things based on the things that he's seen and the things done. Obviously, the change in offense, that probably takes a little bit of some of those advantages away. But he still played a bunch of football for us. He's been in a bunch of situations, been in a bunch of 2-minute drives, 4-minute drives, comebacks, blowouts, whatever it may be. There's experience that comes with that. Certain pressures, certain looks, certain defensive coordinators. He's gained all those experiences. So there's a bunch of value in that. Also during the week, they may pick up something on film, that you haven't seen. You may have an idea from a game plan perspective. I think all those things are valuable. And then I think the other thing is how they work in the off season with the other players, how they watch film during the season, getting the whether it's the O-line and going over protections against your opponent that week or whatever route combinations. You need to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then obviously with Mike's a creative guy, so we typically have a decent amount of new things in each week, and that helps with that too.
Two more.
You guys have always been back by committee, with Javon especially. Will you consider, or have you considered maybe kind of trying to let one guy go longer, maybe 3-4 series to see if they can get into a rhythm, or do you feel like kind of a heavy rotation is still the way to go?
No, the same thing I've said every time I've been asked this question about the running back. When somebody makes it obvious that they're the guy, then they'll be the guy.
With Corman Haskins, assuming Corman's healthy this weekend, how do they differ, and what do you need to do to slow them down?
You got two different body types, obviously. 25, Haskins is the bigger, more physical guy. But I would say that 2 is explosive and he's more powerful than you think, although he's an undersized guy. They do a really good job of getting the extra yards and falling forward. They're also used in the passing game and do a good job out of the backfield or even from empty formations as well. They do a really good job of keeping those guys involved. They're very, very productive backs. And like we've stated earlier, they're committed to running the ball. So I think they got 2 good backs that everybody in the league respects.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
That's head coach James Franklin as he addresses the local media following Wednesday's practice before Penn State takes on Michigan. Pleased to welcome in junior safety Keaton Ellis and State College native Keaton. Coach was talking a little bit about Jahan Dotson and the obvious success that he had last weekend. What impresses you most about number 5?
Yeah, I mean, he's a flashy player, and, whenever you need a big play, you can go to him. And, he's trusty. We all trust him. In his hands, he's going to catch the ball and, make something happen. He's a really exciting player, and the work that he put in to get him to this point, it's really paying off for him.
Everyone knows you made the switch from corner to safety. So, A, the biggest adjustment, but B, also the kind of vision that's needed at safety as opposed to playing corner.
Right, yeah, that's an important part and something that I think my skill set really fits. Be able to see more of the field, reading the quarterback and reading the ball in the air, from a different perspective, not looking back, it's in front of you. So, and I think, my skill set fits that. It's just about getting more comfortable back there and, feeling my way through it and just getting more reps there and more experience. And, I'm feeling good right now. And, I think the vision does really help with that.
You mentioned your skill set. How do you think, or where do you think you've taken the biggest jump since that transition?
Honestly, I think it's mostly mental for me. Just understanding, ins out of the playbook and, my responsibilities, back there and just, learning, little things, picking up, learning from Brisker or Tig and little things that they do within the defense, that helps them succeed. And so that's a big part for me, yeah, mental side.
What's been the mindset of this defense once the back gets to the wall? Because we know that they've given up 10 touchdowns. There have been 12 field goals. There's more field goals than touchdowns and the 5 turnovers. What's the mindset? What's the talk in the huddle when something like this happens?
Yeah, we're really stingy when, the ball gets in the red zone and, the mindset, just we're all excited for the opportunity and the challenge and, just to face it head on and, do the best, we can to keep them out of the end zone. And, the mentality is, they don't score, keep them out of the end zone. And we just, be very aggressive and, make plays on the ball when we can. But if not, just keep them out.
Speaking of being able to make plays on the ball, Jair Brown this past weekend with that pick 6. How electric was that when you were on the sidelines greeting him back?
Oh, yeah, that was an amazing play by him and, really, end the game, change the game. A big play like that, seals the game for you. So I'm really happy for him and, just seeing him run down there. I was trying to run just as fast on the sideline, try to keep up with him. But, he's a great player and, I'm just really happy for him.
Last 2 weeks have been on the road. What's it like to be home with this crowd?
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. Get back in Beaver Stadium. We love our fans, and, there's such a great support for us and mean a lot in games, too. And, they have a lot of power in that way. So, really excited to get back there.
That's junior safety Keaton Ellis joining us here on the Wise Markets Preview Show. Keaton, appreciate your time and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Steve, this matchup between Penn State and Michigan is going to get set to kick off at noon Eastern time on ABC. You just heard from Keaton Ellis about, obviously, that defensive and the stingy defense so far here in 2021. But when it comes to this matchup, what are you looking for between these two programs?
Well, actually, that's something that's going to be important. I just asked him about red zone defense and more field goals than touchdowns. Because what's interesting about Michigan is they're 42 of 45 in the red zone this season. But the game within the game is that, yeah, they have 25 touchdowns. They have 17 field goals in the red zone this year. Now, to Moody's credit, Jake is 17 of 17 in those field goals. He hasn't missed. But that's interesting because, remember, the old saying, it takes 3 field goals to be at a touchdown. If you can't get a takeaway, hold them to 3. And that's not out of the ordinary for Michigan. They've been held to 3 many more times than people realize because, yeah, they've got the 25 touchdowns, but that 17 field goal deal is something I sit back and go, that's really an unusual number and a high number for a successful team. Conversely, Penn State needs to finish its drives.
Very interesting. So keep an eye on that from the defensive standpoint this weekend as Penn State takes on Michigan. And if you flip sides to the other side of the ball for Penn State's offense, what are some of the challenges that Michigan presents?
Well, they present some challenges because of the 2 defensive ends, Ajabo and Hutchinson. They made a list of Ajabo as a linebacker. He's a defensive end. And I'll tell you, Hutchinson didn't play in last year's game against Penn State, but the pressure that they bring against you, 97 and 55, they're just 2 really good players that you have to get some semblance of control. You're not going to be able to stop them all the time, but if you get some control, you can maybe do things a little quicker. I think it makes a big difference. 30, Daxton Hill, who's right there around there, is just a tough play. And look at the play they make here to force the fumble. The 2 of them are combining on that play. And you see Hill come in late. Hill's another really good player. Josh Ross, number 12, the inside linebacker, good players, side-to-side players. So they present their challenges. There's no question about that. Haven't forced a lot of takeaways this year, 13, 6 interceptions, but those 2 defensive ends are a big problem.
When it comes to Jahan Dotson's performance this past weekend against Maryland, 242 total yards, 11 receptions, breaks the record in a single game receiving aspect of things. How does a guy like Jahan get going again for the following game after that performance?
We've watched Jahan Dotson do this every single week for a couple of years now. So this is a self-motivated individual. And I said to his mom the morning of the game when I saw her, she was down at breakfast, and I said, instead of wearing 5, he might as well wear a target around on his chest because he's the one guy you have to stop. Well, the one guy you have to stop is averaging 8 catches a game. He had 11 in this one. He had 11 the week before. Ohio State, got to stop him, had 11. Maryland, got to stop him, had 11. It really is every single week remarkable because he's precise, he's quick, he has the ability to get the ball at the high point, he makes tough catches, he makes easy catches, and let's face it, he is ultra reliable. He's a very special player in that regard that we need to be talking about a lot more. Because right now, you look across the country, there's some really good players. This guy can stand side by side with any player in the country, any player, regardless of position. And I think all of us have to start understanding that.
Very well. Can't take that for granted. Obviously, Jahan Dotson, an elite talent for Penn State football. And all that's great and said, but it's time for our favorite part of the preview show for a home game. We get to.
Can I talk about the clear bag when we get to it?
Yes, we can absolutely dial that in. So if you are coming to the stadium this weekend for the noon Eastern kick, there's your clear bag policy. Yeah. Take it away.
There it is. I mean, look, hey, everybody knows by now, just so we can see the contents. It's all good. Clear bag. So just remember, that's all part of the policy of getting into Beaver Stadium. This is after, of course, you downloaded your tickets.
Exactly. You got to download your mobile tickets if you are coming to this weekend's game. And to do so, save them to your Apple Wallet or Google Pay. If you have any questions or you have some things that you want to get answered, go to gopsusports.com/mobile tickets. And do you remember the last of the three amigos, Steve?
Oh, where do you park? I mean, come on, man. I mean, I'm parking in W. I got it. So I know I've got to go down Park Avenue and come in that way. But look, just remember, check your ticket, check your zone, make sure you're all set that way. You've got easy entry in and a nice smooth exit out, and a smooth exit out late in the day with a victory as the wind of your sails.
There you go. There's the breakdown for if you are coming to Beaver Stadium this weekend for the kickoff at noon Eastern, November 13th on ABC. Or as always, you can listen to Steve Jones and company on the Penn State Sports Network. Until then, we'll see you Saturday.
Jack Ham is not in company.
Jack Ham, Steve Jones, and company.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
That better.
Got to make sure. Okay. I got to go do basketball.
Yeah, Micah Shrewsbury's debut just across the street tonight for his program, as that'll be at 8:30 tip-off.
How about that? Highest ranked recruiting class in the history of the program.
Love that. Today. Yep.
Today.
There was some great social media content on Penn State men's basketball social channel. So if you are curious about those individuals and the highest ranked recruiting class,
enjoy that and get to the stadium early on Saturday.
That's right. We'll see you then at 9 a.m. Eastern for the Unrivaled pregame show.
This is the day. We will know a whole lot by the time the dust settles.
Welcome back to Happy Valley.
Everything matters. That's where we win right here. Right on the field.
For where we want to be at the end of the season starts with our mentality and our attention to detail today.